Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, hi. Yeah, thanks, Maria. So we've got some context about like how you can use the NANDA index to basically register an extremely heterogeneous set of agents. You can have like your own like MCP tools. You can build your own like base agents, which are reactive. You can also build like more preactive A2A agents. At some point, you might want to build like some kind of NL web agents. So when a lot of these different kind of agents come together, there'll be like a lot of opportunities to build extremely new kinds of user experiences. But there is like some inherent sort of challenges that need to be solved along the way. So one of the challenge that needs to be solved is to build some kind of like a universal translator. So if you use the NANDA index to discover different kinds of agents, you might realize that because NANDA index is like a lightweight router, there can be agents which are very different from each other. So if an MCP agent wants to talk to an A2A agent, or from an HTTPS server, you want to talk to an A2A client, these kinds of conversations can be extremely like multilingual in terms of the kind of protocols that are required. So at Nanda, along with the index, we're also trying to build a lightweight sort of translation layer called the NANDA Agent Adapter that will allow you to sort of have multiplexed conversations across many different kinds of protocols. And I'll walk you through what the objective of the NANDA Agent Adapter is, how does the SDK work, and show you a couple of cool applications that can be built on top using our agent adapter. Yeah, so consider this very simple conversation flow that Ramesh sort of talked about in the beginning. And you'll see that imagine there's this person called Adam who wants to order like their preferred cake from their local bakery called the Moon Bakery. So Adam sends a message to Adam's agent saying, talk to the NANDA index and find where Moon Bakery is and send them a message saying, can I have my usual order? So Adam communicates with Adam agent over an HTTPS request because Adam's client can be something like a web browser. It could be like a chat application running somewhere on your computer. And then Adam's agent has to do a bunch of things. So when Adam maybe says like, can I have the usual order for my daughter's birthday this weekend? Then Adam's agent needs to do a combination of discover and requests before it can send the message forward. It goes on to Adam's calendar to see when is Adam's daughter's birthday. Is it this Saturday or the next Saturday? It may go to Yelp's website to figure out which of the local bakeries are best to go to, what kind of raw materials are being used, what are other like requirements or constraints he'll have to specify, what the rating of the bakery is. And then Adam pings the NANDA index, which is just a lightweight router between agents to figure out the agent for the bakery, and then uses the A2A protocol to send a message to the bakery agent. So before sending a message to the bakery agent, Adam used the MCP protocol to talk to Adam's calendar and something like maybe an NL web protocol from Microsoft to talk to Yelp's website. Then Adam sends a message over the A2A protocol to the bakery agent, who receives the message from Adam and may add some additional context about what kind of stuff Adam likes, some past order history for Adam by talking to the bakery's MCP tools that are about their inventory or customer analytics, and then forwards a message to the bakery to make a final decision. So as you can see, like these conversations are extremely heterogeneous, and in the future, we'll see more and more specialized protocols being built for specific applications. And with Nanda, because we want to build a lightweight index that can enable open communication across the Internet of Agents, we want to augment the index with a very lightweight adapter that can allow universal translation of these conversations. So essentially, the argument of a NANDA agent adapter is think of it like a universal translation layer that will allow MCPs, A2A, HTTPS, NL web, clients and servers across all of these different protocols to talk to each other through like a very lightweight abstraction. So essentially, you can build an agent using any kind of agent development kit that you like. For example, you can just build it, let's say, using Google's ADK, and you build an Adam agent. But what you can do is if you use the NANDA Adapter SDK, you can take the agent you built, wrap it up with the NANDA Adapter SDK, and essentially now this agent sort of gets these superpowers where it can translate messages across different kinds of protocols and enable seamless communication. So the agent is able to detect, oh, am I getting a message from an MCP server? So maybe let me act like an MCP client right now. Am I getting a message from an A2A server or an HTTPS server or an NL web server, or like all the combination of specialized protocols that will be built in the future? And there's a lot of like what the NANDA Adapter ADK basically provides is a domain-specific language to make this translation more coherent. And essentially what will happen is that instead of having a simple A2A agent doing the communication, we have an agent which is built with the NANDA Adapter SDK that has this multiplexed translation capabilities. And essentially now you can just have a very lightweight capabilities provided by the NANDA Index and the NANDA Adapter to discover, register, and translate interactions between extremely different kinds of agent protocols and agents that are being built across a lot of different enterprises and scenarios. And so the NANDA Agent Adapter SDK is open source, and you can get started. It's pretty easy to use, and it's open source. It's an open project. So we would love to appreciate any like contributions, capabilities. We're always looking to build integrations to newer kind of protocols. So we'll appreciate any kind of open source contributions you guys want to make. And now I want to give you a simple demo of how you can use this NANDA adapter and the index to build an interesting chat application where your agents you don't just talk to an agent as you saw with our base agents, but you talk via our agents to have more successful conversations between people. And essentially, to use the NANDA Adapter SDK, basically what you do is you need two things. You need you just need a machine with a public IP. So I just went to EC2, I created a machine where I'll host my agent. So another benefit of using the NANDA Adapter agent and the Adapter SDK is that even when you're having these like global conversations with agents all over the internet, you always get to keep complete control, complete security, complete access to all the conversations, the credentials that you may want to provide your agent. So the agent is completely hosted on your local machine, but the capabilities that NANDA Adapter and the NANDA Index is they provide the global discoverability. So you sort of have the best of both worlds. So all that I did was I went to EC2, I got like an AWS machine with a public IP, and that's where I'll host my agent. And using the NANDA's infrastructure, I'll talk to agents all over the world. So the first step that I do is I get this machine and I just simply log in. I've just logged in and I just go and install the NANDA SDK. So you just go install the SDK.
I can't see your screen fully. Only like a center part is visible to me.
Okay, I can stop sharing and share again. Can you see my screen now?
Yeah, great.
Okay, yeah. So basically what I did was now I'm going to set up like an agent that can use NANDA's infrastructure to talk to agents all over the internet. So the first thing that I did was I went and I just got an EC2 machine, like my own local machine, where I'll host the agent and then and this is where my agent will sit. So all my conversations, all my interactions, all my credentials, all my traces will always stay in complete control of me. Like because NANDA is just a routing index, no data is ever captured, all the data stays with me, but it just gives me the capability to still be discovered around the web. So I just went to EC2, got a machine, and on that machine, I just installed the NANDA SDK. And what I do next is I can just use the SDK to start an agent object. And it's a very simple command where I just provide some kind of credential. So I provide some kind of an API key. I provide like a simple domain, which represents a public IP where my agents can be seen. So what the SDK is doing right now, it's sort of spinning up this agent that has these multiplexed communication capabilities with NANDA SDK. And it's also registering that agent to the global NANDA index. So that agent becomes discoverable. So this is sort of providing you like a good trade-off between having the ability to instantiate and keep your agents local, but also the ability to talk to a wide range of MCP servers, other A2A agents, HTTP clients that exist all over the internet. And in a very like secure, trustworthy environment. So yeah, it'll just take a couple of minutes, and basically you can use it to configure the scenario in a lot of cases. For instance, your agent gets the first thing that happens is your agent is already been assigned an agent ID, and it has a public domain. For instance, I just created a random domain called chat4.host39, which is sort of a public IP for my agent, and I've created one agent. In principle, you could create like an entire army of agents that sit locally on your computer that interact with each other and may periodically speak to other agents on the global internet. And while this is being set up, so the NANDA SDK is public completely. It just takes a couple of minutes to set up, register you to the global index, but you also have an option to change your index. If you don't want to register to the current Nanda index, you can create your own index using our index API and register your agents to that index. So this is where the Nanda SDK sits. It's on GitHub. You can just go to GitHub project Nanda, Nanda SDK, and we have descriptions on all the things you need to provide. You need to provide some kind of like an LLM API key, the domain name where you want to chat, and a bunch of optional parameters. If you want a specific agent ID, or the number of agents you want to build, or the kind of agent registry that you want to register this agent with. And yeah, and you can just get started, start contributing. And okay, great. So our agent has now been set up. And when this setup process ends, what you get is some kind of like a authentication URL for the agent. So this is the URL that you see, which takes the agent ID that agent was originally assigned. Now I'll take this URL and I'll just literally just go to my browser and I'll use one of the many open gateways that you can do. So Nanda Index's agent is completely sitting on your infrastructure, but we have like a simple web client. Like it's literally a website on the browser where you can just log in and talk to everybody in the web, how you might talk to people on a website, except the data is entirely secure on your own device. So you can provide this agent all the authentication credentials for your calendar MCPs or like sensitive conversations you may have with other agents. None of the data is ever cached anywhere. And you literally just go in, I put my authentication, I just sign in with Google, and I get. And I'll just authenticate myself. So I'll just call it Nanda Adapter Agent V1. Yeah. So you should use the adapter agent SDK. So I'm in this web client where I can talk with any kind of agent now, just in a couple of clicks. And this is sort of my local sandbox. And through this single interface, I can talk to all kinds of people. For instance, this is like my own personal account. So I can send a message. Excited to be part of the Nanda ecosystem. So when I send this message, essentially this is my client sending a message. And now what happens is when I type this message in the browser, the Nanda adapter allowed my web browser, the client, to talk to my LLM over an HTTPS server, which improves my message, makes it sound more formal, and then uses the A2A extension of the adapter to send a message to my other account, which is at Ayush.
Ayush, your fonts are very small when the screen is shared. Can you zoom in?
Yeah, I can. Okay.
That's much better. Yeah, that's fantastic.
Sorry.
Go back to where you were. One more zoom. One more zoom. One more zoom. That's good. Fantastic. Yeah. This is good.
Okay. Great. Yeah. So you can just send a message, talk to any other agents, and what I can also do. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. No. I think. Yeah. So basically, then I can use my sandbox to engage with this network of MCP tools that exist over. Can you see my screen? I think it's.
We can see your screen. Yeah.
Oh, it's. Why did I realize whether it's like. Oh, I think my.
Okay, pick a zoom level that's good for you.
Yeah. Revert to a setting that works.
Yeah, I think my. Okay. I think it's like just my computer issue, but sorry. Yeah. So the next thing that you can do is you can just talk to your local personal agent assistant how you were talking to your base agent. So I could just ask it questions like, what is the capital of India? And it'll just respond back to me. And what I can also do is I can use this to send message to other agents. For example, I may send message to Ramesh Raskar. This is a great workshop. Thanks for hosting. Nanda is going to be using. And I can use the sandbox to send a message to an A2A agent. I can also use it to talk to a wide network of MCP tools. For example, the next NANDA event is happening in July in Boston. So if I want to attend there in person, I can be like, can I find me hotels near MIT? And yeah, sometimes the request takes like a couple of requests too. So in this, I just sent a message to a hotel booking MCP server that's sitting inside Smitherees MCP registry, and the NANDA index is just routing the request to the appropriate MCP server by helping you find the corresponding details. And I get a response saying, oh, here are the best 5 hotels you can find near MIT in Cambridge. So you can do these kind of multiplexed conversations through the NANDA interface and use the NANDA index and the adapter to be able to build agents that are secure. Conversation always stays on device, but you are still exposed globally. So other agents can discover you, they can send you messages, and you can have very flexible conversations. Yeah. And thank you. And I'm happy to take questions, and I'll give it back to Pradyumna now.
So Ayush, I just want to kind of make sure everybody realizes it, that the two main innovations here. Pradyumna, do you want to bring up John while I'm talking?
Yeah, John.
The two main innovations here, right? One is the index itself, and the second is this universal adapter that allows you to talk to any type of tool or agent that's out there, whether it's MCP, HTTP, NLWeb, and A2A, and so on. Can you just spend a minute just kind of emphasizing what that adapter means and what that index means and why it wasn't supported so far as part of MCP or A2A, or why they cannot support it right now?
Makes sense. So the adapter exactly. So when we say adapter, we are not building a new agent communication protocol. Like there are a lot of agent communication protocols that already exist. So the whole goal of an adapter is just to sort of help you set up on the translation between two agents. So for example, when there is agent 1 and agent 2 that want to talk over A2A, they'll still talk over A2A, but this now agent can talk to another agent over A2A or MCP or HTTPS. And the reason to build this now and not before is because a lot of the protocols from MCP or A2A have largely been built only for like enterprise silos, where like there's like no need for like cross protocol interoperability in some sense, because since all of the protocols are like built inside an enterprise, it's like closed world where all agents may run on the same protocol. You don't really need any kind of a sort of translator to sort of translate or adapt between different kinds of protocols. But because we want to build a vibrant open internet of agents, where different agents may want to run on different kinds of protocols, and the NANDA index will help us discover them, what the adapter basically does is it just helps us set up the handshake after the index has worked. So with the index, I can find where the other agent sits. With the adapter, I can initialize my handshake, and then you can go back to using the original communication protocol to have a flexible communication.
Go ahead, Pradyumna.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ayush and Maria. I think incredible demo. I can see some comments in the chat that it really explains the concept of NANDA so easily, and I think great job. Before we move on to the next set of speakers, I wanted